Welcome to the Journey of Self-Growth podcast, episode 17. I'm ThE, the host of this event, which is created so myself and others can share perspective on the concept of it in hopes that one another's perspectives would be insightful, or raises awareness, establishes awareness, and inspires others to adopt and maintain such behavior. The definition of self-growth is the process of developing new skills, attitudes, actions, or reactions that can have a beneficial impact on your life and increases your overall well-being. For those listening in, I am now also streaming on Instagram, and which Instagram Live is only an hour. So if you are interested in following us beyond that hour mark, you can find us on the YouTube on at the Journey of Self-Growth podcast. I'm going to show you how to access that now. So if you go to YouTube and then in the search bar, you put the Journey of Self-Growth, you have to put the @ sign. My YouTube channel should pop up and you can access it there for the extended version of the podcast live. And today's featured guest is a friend of mine. Also, if you would like to comment and share, you can do so, and we will try to address your questions or comments as we go forward. But without further ado, today's featured guest is a friend of mine. I've known him for many years. His name is Mr. Ritch, also known as Ritch Hazel. Hello, Ritch. How are you?
Good afternoon, ThE. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me on the Journey of Self-Growth podcast. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm glad you decided to initiate and put forth an effort to be a part of a new experience. It would seem that when it comes to self-growth, without initiation, there can be no growth. So uh, I hope that as we express ourselves to one another and absorb what we're sharing, we can grow together as two individuals. What can you tell me about yourself?
So I'm a Bay Arean and I'm a Californian through and through. California is a great state to visit. They call it the Golden State. A lot of older people back in the day used to migrate over to the West because for opportunity and also to build, let's say, a legacy for the future of their loved ones. So, uh, good thing that I was born in California and I rep the West very well.
And is there anything else you want to share with the listeners about um, you professionally? Um, yeah, you want to talk some about that or no?
Yes, yes, yes. So, the Bay Area has a lot of influence when you read about it throughout the history of the Bay Area. A lot of music, a lot of sports, a lot of fashion, entertainment. So that's what I kind of migrated into as a young adult, and still doing that to this day. So currently, I'm a street photographer. That's what I do primarily, and a freelancer, and I help out the community and those who are in need of any outlet visually to get their stories across.
Mm, okay, I appreciate you sharing that, and I intend to ask more questions and context to your professionalism going forward. But before I do that, how are you currently growing?
How I'm currently growing right now? Well, everything is a learning process. So right now, currently, I'm learning about the physical body and how to control it more. You know, uh, in my profession or in other professions, whether they're in the arts, you have to be physically capable of doing the task at hand, and you have to do it enjoyably. You can't do it while you're hurt or in pain. So that those are one of the things I'm doing right now, learning self, self as in the body.
Mm, I appreciate that, and I think type of uh, that type of initiation to me demonstrates the that exemplifies the intellect of self awareness, being self aware that um, the body is something that needs to be conserved. And so, by you intentionally putting forth an effort to be active in conserving your health and your physical well being, to me is demonstrates a form of growth in that aspect of the intellect. Um,
I
uh, what were you gonna say?
I said I agree, indeed.
And I think that's very important. Um, so I'm a I'm a believer that when it comes to professionalism, sometimes uh, it seems like we are not not we're uncertain of what our passion is at a certain point in life, and sometimes it seems like the universe will present experiences to us that helps us to be inspired and become aware of what we can initiate in terms of developing our professionalism or our profession
Mm.
quest. And so I've referenced in a previous episode that I had one of those experiences when I was in a car as a kid, and my dad was listening to a particular song. I think it was called VSOP. I forget the name of the band, but if you know it, you could let me know. But it's called VSOP. I bet if I asked him, he could tell me off the top of his head. But anyway,
Mm.
I just love that song, and something internally just like got captivated, and I felt like an emotional reaction that was like, man, I want to contribute to making music that I think can be quality. And then I think as I aged from childhood on through like high school, I was exposed to also like selective songs that weren't just like modern, but it was just certain particular songs that like still maintain that frequency of excitement for me that caused me to like still be captivated and sort of like almost entranced by the experience of music. And I that sensation, that internal sensation that I felt, was like an inspiration or a motivation for me to like initiate being a hip hop artist.
Mm.
So with that being said, I'm curious to know, if you were to reflect on your childhood, were there particular experiences that you can recall in terms of being a witness to uh, like experiences pertaining to photography that captivated and excited you, and was a form of motivation for you to initiate developing your craft as a photographer? And if so, which were they?
Well, I wouldn't say it started as a child, but I believe being around a lot of artists and older folks who were in the field of photography or street photography or just in the arts in general, that probably sparked a small flame in me. I wouldn't say intrigued me, but got me interested in the device. So the object of what was being portrayed and used for. So like the outcome. So I think that was a major put definitely.
And you said it was like particular photographers that you were around that like was the motivator.
Well, I wouldn't say like famed photographers or well known in the community. Just um, just the average young male, probably in his 30s. While I was probably in my late teens. Uh, with a camera around his shoulder. You know, going somewhere, doing some type of side gig, and just interested in what was his end goal, being a young man, at that age. So yeah, that was pretty unique to see.
What what in particular do you enjoy in terms of the process of being a photographer?
Well, meeting the individual, or if it's a person, getting to know them and seeing what their true passion is, and
Mm-hmm.
if we can work together in bringing that forth, then that's where the magic starts. So those moments where it's guerrilla style, um, not pre-written,
Mm-hmm.
just concepts, and then when we come to a point where everything could flow correctly, then that's when the magic happens. So no pressure on the subject and no pressure on the photographer.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, when I think about photography, I know that it's more than just simply taking a picture. I think, because I've taken some photos myself, but I think there are nuances or subtleties that I think go into creating an image that is pleasing to yourself. Um, what what are your strategies when it comes to taking a shot that is to your liking?
Mm, it all depends. Do you have an example or something that you think that?
Well, I can say that I've seen several of your products or your images, and I think, in contrast to other images that I've seen taken by others, I think there are attention to details in terms of angles and your selection of scenes. I mean, selection of location that I think stand out to me and causes a sense of excitement when I look at your images. And I think it seems like you would have to have it would seem like you have developed your craft and from I guess when you first started to where you are today, where there do you feel like you've developed in terms of being a photographer?
Oh yes, not just being a photographer, just being behind the camera, uh, and being not part of the camera per se. Um, you have to interact with people. You have to be able to adjust on the fly. You
Hmm.
have to improvise. You have to be a shoulder to cry on when they don't want to pose or feel happy or change their facial expression into something that can, push the actual shoot. So there's a lot of things that you have to deal with, and you just have to have constant reminders and situations where you can learn from and improve and then grow.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's
Wow.
definitely that not a lot. Well, there's a lot of folks in this genre that's actually doing that, but it's you have to choose the reason why you're actually doing it. Some do it for the fame, for the exposure, for the money. Others just do it for just being a giver, giving back. If they have a talent, use that talent for good. Don't use it for evil. So if you see those that are doing what they do and they're good at it out of the greatness of their heart, then you should stick around that. You should vibe with that.
Hmm. And why do you do photography? What's your intent for doing it?
Uh, that in particular is just one vehicle into other vehicles um, that I do. But photography is very powerful. Um, Imagery um, is very heavy, whatever you portray. So if it's negative, it can be as heavy to the point where you can't lift it, you don't want to see it, but it's imagery. So if you post it and it's there, then you have to deal with society judging it. But you can do the same thing with a positive image and create that balance. So people need to experience more balance, for more balance towards positive imagery instead of negative imagery.
I can relate to that, and I appreciate positive imagery, and I'm glad that you drew a comparison between the two because I think sometimes a person can lose sight of why the image is being presented in the first place. And I just think about what are those called? Subliminal messaging, which can also be presented in imagery, and the intent behind that. So, when I think about your images, I think I do sense positivity in each one. So I do appreciate, you putting forth that effort. What else I want to ask you? Uh, oh, so I thought about something. So I had a conversation with my coworker the other day. I had asked him a hypothetical question. I said, if you had fell into the temptation of getting into an argument with someone over a particular idea, I said, what would that idea be? And he said he would fall into the temptation of arguing with someone about if art overall, artistry is moral. And I think he is like anti the idea that art in general is a moral demonstration, or it could be definitely considered moral versus immoral. And he referenced like a character in a movie where if you were to watch the movie, depending on who's viewing the movie, they can interpret the character and how he's conducting himself in the scene as being good or evil. But he was saying like he doesn't agree like conclusively that like art in general is either good or bad. It's left up for interpretation. What's your perspective on what he said?
Mm, well, I don't know. I don't know the young man, but I think he might be seeing it in a different lens. Let's
Mm-hmm,
say um, he's not. He's up close with it. You know, he needs to back up a little bit or just switch lenses because everything is art. From nature is art. From our trees to uh, what we build physically with our hands, building, and things of that nature. So he's walking daily around art. He's laying on a artist in bed. Everything is art, shapes, colors. So he should embrace it. You know,
mm-hmm,
that might in turn change his outlook on life. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Don't look at the art that he sees currently on social media and things of that nature because he has no.
Hello. Uh-oh. Look like your camera, his mic went out. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. The unexpectancies of life, but we can still grow in these circumstances. I'm gonna mute my mic real quick. I need to make a phone call. Yeah, my friend, his mic went out, so he's gonna log out and log back in. Just 1 second. But I mean, for me personally, um, I think I'm a proponent of the idea that art can be interpretive. I don't think art can be right or wrong. Um, I think it's up to the interpretation of the individual. If you're interested in commenting on that, I invite you to uh, hold on, bring Rich in. 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Rich, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, we back in there. Hold on. Let's see. I gotta do something right quick. All right, Rich, holla at me real quick.
Kite.
All right, cool. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I heard there was a brief cut, but we still growing in the experience, whether or not the unexpectedties happen. The journey continues. But with that being said, though, you said that um, you feel like, well, it seems like based on what you were saying that you're pro um, art can be moral.
It can be moral if the artist choose to portray any whatever subject that they're trying to portray to
Mm-hmm.
be moral.
Okay. Would you Can you provide like an example for that for people who are interested in your stance?
I mean, if an artist had a camera and shot a garden full of fruits and vegetables and developed that photo and post it in the area where a neighborhood or a community needs nourishment, uh, that will be a moral art displayed.
Mm.
Um, so would that be a bad thing? Would that be a good thing? Is up to those who see. So that would be one example.
Nice. I just seen a comment pop up. Mr. Raymond from the Mizzle and Dub show. Y'all check out the Mizzle and Dub show. It's a sports commentary show. Um, and Raymond, who's one of the co-hosts, he said, "What up, Rich? You know who Raymond is, right?"
Tell them what's good.
Yeah, he can hear you. He can hear you. But yeah, that's a great show. They do a good job on reviewing anything from basketball to WWE. I tune in pretty often, so check them out. The Mizzle and Dub show. But just for those watching on YouTube, I mean on Instagram, Instagram they cut the feed after an hour. So if you are interested in continue on with this live stream, uh, y'all can check us out on my YouTube channel. I'm gonna post that right now. So if you go to YouTube, then in the search bar you put the @ the Journey of Self Growth Podcast. You can check us out there. We're live on YouTube. So yeah, I appreciate your perspective on moral art, Rich, and I like your example. I can relate to that, but I will say that I think I am. uh, in opposition to the idea that art is moral, because I think it's open for the interpretation. I think specifically because I like movies, and I know you do too. Um, I'm
Right.
actually I'm actually curious to know if Raymond or anybody else listening, y'all can put in the comments. Do you feel like art is moral or is open for interpretation? Uh, but I think I reference a particular character arc or archetype, the anti-villain who is he's conducting himself in the scene where he's doing like quote unquote bad things, but he seems like his intention is to uh, ultimately his end goal is to like achieve quote unquote a positive outcome. Um, and I think
Mm,
sometimes like those characters, like especially an anti-villain, you probably have people who say like, "Oh, he's a bad guy because he's doing bad," but then you have other people saying, "Oh, his end goal was ultimately good, so he's doing good." Um, and so since there's a divide, I think that I kind of think that exemplifies how the that character, is open for interpretation. And I'm not saying what I'm saying is conclusive. This is all based in theory. I theorize that
right.
because I'm also aware, like the anti-villain, what he's doing, like I wouldn't do. I probably wouldn't like kill off some bad guys for the greater good, me personally. Um, but I recognize that if someone kills someone, like it seems like that's a detrimental act. But it
Mm,
is it is entertainment at the end of the day. Like it's something that we are observing, and so is it right or wrong? Like I don't. It seems like it's just open for interpretation for me, but I do appreciate what you're saying, and I'm receptive to what you're saying. So with based on what I just said, like what's your reaction to what I said?
so like you're basing it on like a movie character
Which
in a
is
sense,
yes, which is a form of art, right?
with a form of art, but that has a storyline. So it has a writer that's
Hmm.
telling the script beforehand, but you don't know the script until you start the movie. So you don't know the character until
Hmm.
the end of the film. So you have to play it out. You have to interpret each and every emotion that the character does, and then you have to judge if it's moral or immoral. But
Hmm.
you don't know until the end of the film. So yeah, so it goes both ways. But if
Hmm.
that person is showing negativity throughout the film, you're
Hmm.
only conscious would this tell you this person is a negative person. Don't
Hmm.
matter if it surprised you at the end, you already seen all the negativity he displayed over the duration of the film. So, but that what draws us in,
Hmm.
we're born into sin, so we we lurk for evilness, and those who know how to work it know how to deceive us, and we fall victim to it each and every time.
Hmm.
But self growth is something that we need to work on continuously, so
Hmm.
we can fight through that. We can break through.
Yes, yes, I agree. Um, in terms of your the images that you have created, like which one, if any, will be your favorite and why?
Mm. I don't have a favorite. It's all like a collage. So it's a part of. the journey of self growth. So I give every person or situation or um, the opportunity to be a part of, whether I was behind the scenes or shooting or helping out, um, just being humble for the opportunity, and then being committed to delivering. Um, so that's what we all should do as individuals when we pick up a task. We have to strive to finish and finish it well, and then
Mm-hmm.
move on to the next. Yeah.
No, so it would seem like you, in terms of your commitment to follow through, um, that's something that you value versus doing things like um, halfway, which I can relate to because if I try to do things halfway, I'm aware of that intent, and when I become aware of that intent, like the outcome of it, when I see it, it's like it doesn't create a good feeling in myself,
Mm.
and I learned from that because I can choose to continue on with that pattern of like not following through, but I mean, our our the sensations or the emotions of the result of our actions, matter, at least for me. So
Mm.
that's how we refine ourselves. At least for me, I don't want to continue on a pattern of just like not feeling good about things that I initiate, and I know that I'm not trying my best at it. Um, can you relate to that?
Yeah, definitely right. Sorry to cut you off, but when you mentioned sensations, what I'm currently growing right now with the self growth is I'm trying to fade out the negative sensation
Mm-hmm.
and then bring in positive vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, trying to fight against what the eyes want and fight against what the mouth wants and fight against what the heart wants. Instead of all the wants, try to switch that into needs and just continue to focus on the need of what you want instead of the want of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because a need would benefit you 10 times more than a want.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I could relate to that. I recently wrote in my journal that, and let me know if you can relate to this because I think it's in context to what you just said. You said that you're trying to relinquish the urges and trying to be more grounded. It was seeing how I interpreted that, um, and you were saying like the urges that can be based in like visual urges and verses that are verbal. And I think it seems like to me that we as individuals are capable of conditioning ourselves or conditioning the body to be conditional, meaning that if I uh, craft a narrative like about, let's say, for example, the idea that I'm struggling in life, let's say
Right.
financially, I think our bodies will naturally, follow suit to this narrative that I'm creating. And so, if we are exposed to certain situations externally, then our bodies may react in a way that um, is going to be based out of that narrative that we create. I was talking to my friend the other day about relationships. For example, if I told myself like I'm only gonna date a woman that looks a certain way, um, dresses a certain way, makes a certain amount of money, then that to me seems like I'm intentionally uh, creating conditions for someone that I haven't even met yet. And so as a result, my body is becoming conditional to women that, come across my path in the present moment versus me being like more intuitive, more grounded, and just like you were saying earlier, going with the flow of life. I think that if I choose to condition myself to be conditional, that actually cuts off my intuitive side of my mind, or that cuts off my intuition, which I think is also a part of our senses, our five senses: smell, sight, touch, hearing. And I think also if you tie in spiritually from a spiritual realm, it seems like based on the law of attraction, if I attract circumstances based on how I'm thinking or how I'm conditioning myself, i.e., a model type woman that I've conditioned myself to only settle for, then naturally my eyes are going to be obsessing about seeing this woman once she comes across me. However, what I might lose sight of or lose sense of is the things that this woman is telling me in conversation. She could be telling me like, "Oh, I want you to pay for all the meals for me. I want you to give me access to your bank account." And I'm like letting this all go over the top of my head because I've conditioned myself to be conditional and only be like obsessed about this particular type of woman from a physical standpoint. Not and all the while I'm not hearing, losing my sense of hearing to a degree, not listening to what she's saying, and that can ultimately result in me being in an experience that's going to be detrimental to myself. What's your reaction to what I just said?
Okay, so I see that if you're in a situation like that, you need to focus on yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, being conditional to self is you're only self growing yourself. You're focusing on how you feel, how you want to be portrayed, all for self, not being selfish, but you're nurturing yourself to be the better you. So when a woman do walk your way, you're not focusing on the beauty, the looks, all of the things that you were conditioned when you were your younger self.
Mm-hmm.
At that moment, that law of attraction should work naturally, only if the woman is attracted to your self growth
Mm-hmm.
at that moment. So if you haven't improved on certain areas within your self growth, then those negative things that you feel like the other person or you would be distracted towards her beauty and not the word, those are the same things that she's pulling negative. She's sucking that out of you. So she's she's telling you that her beauty is inviting. So that's why you are focused on the beauty. The words, what she says, doesn't relate because if your self growth is positive and hers is negative, it's not compatible.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that if you focus on self first and Those can be financial, it can be fitness wise, physical, it can be mental wise, uh, stress free lifestyle, uh, small breaks throughout your workday, meditating, deep breathing. Those things, if you are willing to search out and discover, would bring you closer to being a better you
Hmm.
in a positive way. In a positive way. Yeah.
I want to talk about going back to your strategies, being a photographer, which I'm intrigued by. That's why I want to talk about it some more. But you said when you show up to a photo shoot, like the first step you take is to actually, you know, initiate getting to know this person, versus just simply showing up and be like, all right, let's take some shots, which I think is pretty interesting because I think I can imagine a photographer just simply showing up and, you know, uh, intentionally wanting to just get the bag first and, you know, maybe talking to the person that they're taking the shoot of later, if anything. But why is it important for you to establish a form of a relationship prior to actually taking taking a shot of someone?
I think that's the number one standard in a form of doing business, form of establishing a relationship
Hmm.
before we as a team, you and I, embark in this journey that might take us an hour, might take us 2 hours, it might take us half a day. But if you have the time, as well as if I have the time, then um, things can happen on a positive ending. So if you don't do that, then you don't have really no backing when you do a full shoot, and when the shoot's over with, you don't have no connection. You don't know why or what you told the subject to do. You know, it wasn't no. It's a mannequin, just a fake doll standing in place, and you're just taking snaps. You know, if you want to do some fashion photography for a clothing store with mannequins, then you can do that. But if you want to do on site, individual, human to human interaction, letting someone take a Polaroid of you, then I think you need to have some type of people skills um, if you want to last in this business.
Mm. Okay, I appreciate you sharing that. And for people who are interested in photography, hopefully they can find value in what you expressed. I mean, I can relate to what you're saying because I think for me, um, one of my side gig is being a cashier. And I think for me, when a customer arrives at the register, I could just simply take their items and scan them and be like, you know, thank you, have a nice day. But I think for me, I enjoy willfully initiating, um, creating a conversation, which can help to enhance the experience. And it also helps. I mean, for me, like I grow that in that experience because now I'm able to learn more about someone outside of myself, which results in me enhancing my perspective on life in general. Like I had a conversation with someone the other day, and had I not, you know, started the conversation, I probably would have never known that this person was from North Dakota, and they recommended to me that I visit South Dakota, which is where Mount Rushmore is. And I had asked them like, is it worth like going to South Dakota just to see like the faces of some presidents? And he was like, Yeah, because it's more than just seeing like the image of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln on the side of a mountain. Like there's trails that go intersect and wind around the park that leads you to certain areas or destinations that are very scenic. So it's the area where this mountain range is dynamic. So he was like, yeah, you should definitely check it out. And had I not had that conversation with them, my perspective on a state that I've never been to before probably would have not been enhanced. But that's due to me, intentionally taking this, putting forth an effort to get to know this person. And so I can relate to what you're saying in terms of like why you want to establish a relationship first before starting just showing up and taking a photograph of someone. I think it ultimately it enhanced the experience for yourself as well. Would you agree with that?
Definitely agree with that. And what you said, like for your side gig, being a cashier, every day it's a new day to experience um, a new person. A person is like a live book, so you can ask them any questions, and you'll definitely get a response. But is this you're learning how to take criticism? You know, you might get a customer that might be rude to you when you want to be polite to them and ask how their day is going. So yeah, I say definitely any type of form of work that requires you to speak and be humble and giving. Uh, Certain people it's hard to adjust to. So you would have to love it in order to enjoy it. So any form of art, whether it has a lead into self awareness, um, discovery, those are growing moments that any individual should seek.
Mm, I agree with you. And one of my coworkers, he's about 19 years old. He's going to college right now, and I asked him, what is your major or what is your career goal? And he said, I don't know. And I was like, that's okay. Uncertainty is a natural occurrence from my perspective. But I did ask him a question that I only reference in my own life, which was hypothetically, if you were alone in this world and had access to resources, what would you enjoy doing? What would you enjoy doing alone, knowing that you would not be validated or congratulated for your efforts in participating in a particular activity? And at the time, he said, I don't know. I got to think about that. But that's a good question. And I think that's a question that I would relay to anyone out there who don't. I see you. My partner said my partner Ahmad said golf. I'm glad you know what you're passionate about, and hopefully your comment will inspire others. But yeah, so like one thing that, and I reference myself. I think for me, if I'm writing music, writing lyrics, performing, recording the songs, like I could do that every day by myself, not get paid, not get validated, not get a pat on the back from someone outside of myself. This is what I enjoy. And so I'm thankful for the realization of my passion, and I think I'll do that, to the day I transcend on to the next realm.
Mm,
And I think intuitively, if you sense what you're passionate about, I theorize that the universe will help you on your journey or your quest for success in that in that in that effort, by manifesting or presenting you with additional opportunities, which can help you to continue to grow in that particular realm. And I think about Ahmad, like Ahmad, he went to school down in SoCal to be to enhance his skills at playing golf. And after he graduated, I mean, I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ahmad, I would imagine you didn't know what was going to happen next, but he still like put forth an effort to enhance his skill set by practicing, participating in tournaments. And then what I do know is that uh, due to him initiating and applying for a particular job, he attracted an opportunity which allowed him to continue to grow in what he's passionate about, which is golf. So, Rich, I want to ask you that. But before I do that, I want to let everybody know that the time on Instagram Live is about to conclude. Instagram only gives us 1 hour. So if you're interested in continuing on being a part of this experience, you can go to my YouTube channel, and it is here. Go to YouTube, go in the search bar, and then put in the search bar at the Journey of Self Growth. You can find us there, and we'll be live for another half an hour. I appreciate y'all. So yeah, I would say, Rich, if and I've never asked you this before, but hypothetically, if you were alone in this world but had access to resources, what activity would you uh, willingly participate in terms of a profession?
If I was alone on this world, but I'm alone on this world, so it'll only be me, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't need no job or profession because I wouldn't be catering to no one for to buy or sell, you know. So
Yeah.
pretty much that's perfect freedom. That's perfect peace. That's perfect self reflection. That's uh, perfect self improvement. Um, you have to do things on your own, which would be a learning experience. You know, we've been catered as people in this world of having things made and ready and prepared for them. They just need to just come up and purchase. So being in a world where you're alone, you have to rely on natural resources. So that's when you have to learn how to plant and you learn how to germinate seeds and learn how to grow and produce and save the seeds. And then you have more seeds to produce. Those who understand that know the value of that. So it'd be a great thing.
I think I want to. So I want to be more descriptive in the question. So the what I meant to say was, let's say everyone disappeared other than yourself today. You have access to computers, technology, all the equipment is running, uh, everything is accessible, right? And but you're by yourself. It's sort of like that movie Wally. He was the only robot on the earth, but still like, well, and that was post apocalyptic, but so nothing was really nothing was really working. But I'm just saying hypothetically, if everyone disappeared other than yourself today, and you had a hobby that you wanted to participate in, um, what one hobby would you initiate being active in?
Like, give me like two examples of a hobby for this situation.
Okay, so for me, like I would, if everyone disappeared today and I still had access to all resources, I would still make music. I would write lyrics, I would record because I enjoy doing that. And then another example would be Ahmad said if everyone disappeared, he had access to all resources, he would play golf as a hobby. So for you, like what would your hobby be?
I think my hobby will be traveling the world,
Mm-hmm.
traveling what the world has, what my eyes haven't seen yet, what I read about. That'd be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling.
Okay. And
Now,
would
like
you
mine now, like you saying, like I'm the only one there. I have access to everything. So, the travel is going to be on the biggest jet, private jet, biggest planes. All the access that money can buy because money is available
mm-hmm.
endlessly. So, yeah, it'd be travel.
Okay. And and what would be the how would traveling help in your growth as an individual?
As an individual, I will see more areas that would either propel me to do good or would anger me to do change.
Mm,
So that would be something that would be uh, self gratifying in
mm.
doing.
Okay, I appreciate you sharing that. So by traveling and witnessing places that you never seen before, that would help you to, you said, appreciate
Yeah,
more.
you either appreciate that particular place more and enjoy it and want to do better to beautify the area, or you
Mm,
go to an area where it's not so of your liking and you want to change it. So
mm.
that'd be my quest if I had that type of freedom.
Okay, nice, cool. Appreciate that, Rich. I think is there anything else you wanted to mention in terms of uh, what you're passionate about in terms of in the present moment? Hello, Rich. Think your phone is muted. Rich, can you hear me? Hello. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna see if I can tap in with him. Hold on, y'all. I think he went out again. I'm gonna try to bring him back. Let's see. So Rich is gonna come back in. But yeah, I think if people can uh, realize what they would be passionate about in terms of what they're doing, if they were by themselves in this world and they had access to all resources and technologies, it may help in discovering what you would be passionate about because that helped me. Rich, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool. Nice. I think we're going to move on to the next scene or the next topic of conversation. Oh, I got to add you in there. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I got to add Rich into the scene. Let's see. But, all right. Here we go. Nice. All right. 1 sec, y'all. All right, cool. All right, so this section of the podcast is called the multiple intelligence theory. For those new who are listening to the podcast, there are two popular. No, there's two. Yes, there are. I'm sorry. There's two popular theories when it comes to uh, intellect. One is presented by a theorist named Beignet, and he suggests uh, that we have three forms of intelligence, which is linguistic, writing, logical slash mathematical, and the other one is mathematical. Oh, and then naturalistic or scientific. And based on this theory, which is popularized, um, uh, academic institutions have adopted this as a form of measuring how smart, quote unquote, smart a person is. So we are tested based on this theory, particularly in high school when we are trying to go to college. The SAT exams will quiz us on how well our mathematical, writing, and scientific skills are. And depending on the results of your test, you will have access to colleges. However, there's an alternative theory, which is called the multiple intelligence theory, which was created by a theorist named Howard Gardner. And Howard Gardner suggests that we have, of the nine intelligences, including the three that Beignet suggested, and the others mentioned are musical, interpersonal, existential, interpersonal, bodily kinesthetic, spatial, and intrapersonal. And the theory is we possess all nine, but depending on how much effort we put forth will determine the degree or enhancement of each intellect. So through practice and repetition, we can enhance our intellects. And the reason why I present this theory to on my podcast is because some people may not have heightened degrees of intellect in writing, math, or science, but may actually have heightened degrees in the six others that are presented in this theory. So it helps. I think it would help to raise awareness and also self-esteem if people were to become aware that they're actually quote unquote smart compared to what the mainstream may tell them. And there is multiple examples of people who exemplify these high degrees of intellect that aren't popularized, such as like musical. Like I would say, Kanye West has a heightened degree of musical intellect. Or a let's see, a good example would be maybe in the playoffs right now is Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown. I think they exemplify the bodily kinesthetic heightened degrees of that, which is paraphrased as body smart. So, with that being said, that was a brief description. Rich, I want to ask you of the nine multiple intelligences, which one or more do you sense you have heightened degrees in? And how would you suggest to others they develop the ones that you have enhanced?
Mm. So the one that I'm currently improving on is the interpersonal part of the intelligence. That's what I'm currently learning how to master, but it's never a mastering thing when you're starting or beginning relationships with individuals. So it's a ever learning process. You just have to meet people in the middle. So that's what I'm improving on, that intellect.
Okay. And how are you able to enhance that particular intellect?
To enhance it, you just have to make it more challenging. So you have to be around a group of people, uh, whether you're talking or doing your uh, passion. The more the people, the more the challenge, the more you can test your ability to uh, overcome and learn what you put into place. So that will be how you can improve it
And I
if
like
you're
to use.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, like I was saying, if you're interpersonal, yes.
Yeah, I like to use the analogy or the metaphor of a gym. Like the gym is the experience that which we can enter or engage in that helps us to develop our intellect. So, is there a particular quote unquote gym that you are aware of that is helping you to enhance that interpersonal interpersonal intelligence for you as of late as of recently?
As of recently, the gym that I start to use every morning when I see a person is just the basic two words, good morning. That in itself will start a conversation and it might end in a great conversation, but you have to just be willing to take that first step. And everybody wants to have some type of joy in their life because life is pretty hard throughout the day. So showing good gestures, good showing grace to people is one thing that I'm trying to do more. Everyone should do more though.
I would also add another gem that I theorize that helps you to enhance your interpersonal intelligence is your current occupation. Would you agree with that?
I believe so. Currently, I have a group of individuals that in a range of uh, age where some might want to give up on life, others want to improve their young life, and the profession that I'm in, you have to uh, be willing to talk and to be open and to show a little bit of emotion, but constantly do your job at the utmost. And different individuals learn at their own pace. Some who are older tend to lag along, but they know better. They've seen how things have been, and they can improve on things that they see that isn't fit, but they choose not to. So it's a little bit of nudging and boosting their encouragement, telling them they still got it in a sense, so they can feel that they're appreciated. So it's a great task to be a part of, teaching the young and reteaching the old. So
Hmm.
it can be a one big family of reaching the total outcome of the particular job at hand. So that's a great thing to see.
Yeah, and what I applaud about you is that I mean you don't have to do that job. No one is forcing you to work that position. Um, but you stick it out. You do it. 5 days 5 days a week at least. And so to me that suggests or demonstrates that um, you have some degree of passion to want to be in that type of position where you are communicating and interacting and engaging with people pretty frequently. Um, because I mean, if you didn't, I would imagine you wouldn't be there. Correct?
Very much so. And it's one of many careers each and every one of us and those who are listening will have throughout their lifetime. So we will have many jobs in our lifetime. We will switch 2 or 3 careers within our lifetime, but everything is a learning experience. So I embrace everything.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think one degree of intelligence that I've been enhancing to, I would also say, is interpersonal intelligence. And my suggestion for people who want to enhance this intellect is firstly not be conditional when interacting with anyone outside of yourself. And I like to I'll reference a particular behavior. Someone who is racist. I think someone who is racist uh, has conditioned themselves to be conditional in terms of their interactions with others outside of themselves. It's like saying like I will only speak to someone who is white or I will only speak to someone who is dark complexion. That is being conditional. And I feel like if you want to enhance your interpersonal intelligence, not being conditional will help you to do that. I think some people would probably even say, like, I will only speak to people that I grew up with. I will only speak to um, people who are in my family. I remember one time, and I said this before, when I was on the BART train, I sat down next to an elderly woman and I introduced myself. I was like, "Hello, my name's Kite. What's your name?" And she said, "I don't talk to strangers." And I respected that. I didn't continue on with the conversation, but if heard literally or if interpreted literally, that would suggest that she only intentionally or conditionally talks to people that she has known prior to, uh, I guess, yeah, she only talks to people exclusively who she's known, I guess, for a long period of time. And I think, if for me, the purpose of interacting with people or starting a conversation with someone is ultimately I want to be able to relate to the world which these people are a part of. I want to relate to, not only are they a part of the world, but they're a part of the universe. I want to be able to relate to the universe, which people are also in. So I can then enhance my perspective of who I am and enhance myself and grow myself through relating to the next person. And I think if you are conditional, I think you're willfully inhibiting or limiting your growth by choosing to only talk to particular individuals. And I think, yeah, so the best strategy is for enhancing that particular intelligence is not to be conditional when choosing to communicate with other people. What's your reaction to what I said, Rich? Hello, 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 hello. I think his telephone went out again. I'm gonna text him to let him know. Yeah, sometimes these unexpectancies happen, but the journey of growth continues. So I think we're going to move on to the next scene, which is called Interpreting Expression. So um, in each episode, I will present a quote, statement, or question that I relate to, and each myself and the featured guests will share their interpretation of this quote, and hopefully, or this expression. Overall, it's an expression. We'll share our interpretations of this expression in hopes that we can also relate to what the expression is. And hopefully, listeners also can relate to what the expression is. And so we could use this hopefully as a tool to grow ourselves also. So the quote is, and Rich, you back online?
I'm back.
Okay, cool. So the quote today's quote of interpreting expression is this: in the unknown, one can discover more of themselves. Rich, how would you interpret this quote, and how would it relate to yourself?
In the unknown, one can discover more of themselves. Well, in the unknown, I see it as faith, faith not seen. So you got to have some type of courage to go forth in the unknown. So that's something that you have to build, or if you don't have that foundation, try to build on it slowly. So when you know it's secure, then you can take that next step into the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do that, definitely, you will definitely discover more behind what you didn't see. So I definitely think it's a great quote. Uh, it's to me, I believe it's more of following your dream. If it's a dream that you can see and attain, then it's reachable.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
How relatable? How would this um, quote relate to yourself personally?
uh, all facets of my life, um, from the way I prepare myself when I wake up in the morning to get my day started, uh, during the day, how I conduct myself and others in the way I want my day to flow. So if I want my day stress free and positive, then I believe that we all can have full control on how to dictate that and navigate through the waves of daily life that we have to endure. But I use that daily, to uh, be anchored in the things that I feel fit that will benefit my self growth going forward. So this quote is a great quote that anyone could adapt into their lives. In the unknown, one can discover more of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like your how you expressed the relativity of this quote, and it was just you by you just simply saying like your day to day morning rituals or habits, like getting up in the morning, preparing meals. These are things that are not guaranteed, and I feel like because we don't know what's going to happen next, that shouldn't stop us from doing things that are going to be of benefit to us in the present moment. So by you actually just getting up in the morning, um, get and you know, freshening up, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, preparing breakfast for yourself. Like we don't know what's happening next as we're doing these things, and so I feel like because we don't know, that demonstrates the unknown. But we do it despite not knowing, because hopefully our efforts is going to ultimately end in our growth as an individual, be it self discipline, self confidence, things of that nature. So I can relate to what you're saying, and I think my interpretation of in the unknown one can discover more of themselves is it seems like unknown is a constant too. I've yet to know what's actually going to happen next, though I have fell into the temptation of trying to be predictable. But I feel like when I was trying to be predictable, it more often than times led to frustration because when something didn't occur that I was predicting, it was like now I'm faced with the reality of like questioning myself for even like making that prediction in the first place. So I learned from that. I learned from that, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna try to be predictable, and that includes in relationships. Like I don't want to be predictable in my relationship if I can help it. I'd rather be, unpredictable, and I don't think that's a bad thing. I think uh, as long as your intentions are not to harm someone, you could be unpredictable, like surprising them with flowers, or just simply texting someone or calling someone to see how their day was. Like, I think these are acts that could be appreciated, and they're unpredictable. But I think, like, if I had certain predictable routines of just like waking up in the morning and not like making up the bed and doing things that are like detrimental to myself, and I have a significant other, like, that could be potentially alarming to them. But I think when you're being present in the present moment, which is seemingly also unpredictable, and just going with the flow of life and doing the best you can in a world of mystery, uh, and your intentions are to better yourself, it seems like the outcomes will be to your to help you. Also, I think how this quote is relatable to myself is I recently upgraded my or enhanced the podcast by transitioning from one software to the next, and I did my research on the software, and a lot of the stuff that I read I liked, because now I can add visuals and sound to the live stream, which I do. I did it because I just enjoy the experience of like making the podcast more enjoyable, and hopefully other people appreciate it too. But there was still some uncertainties of like what the overall outcome would be, and there was a temptation to be like, nah, I'm not gonna try it because the other software that I was using was pretty reliable, and it was cheaper too. So I'm
Mm.
just gonna stay where I was, which was on Zoom. But I also was aware that Zoom had limited functionalities. It's not really meant for a live stream per se. Zoom is a service that's created for business meetings and conference calls, more so
Right.
than like a professional live stream that's going to be on a YouTube or an Instagram. Like, I couldn't live stream this podcast to Instagram using the Zoom. I can only do that if I, took a leap of faith and tried to do something new and different, which was unknown to me in terms of like what the the outcome was going to be should I choose to engage in something different. So
Right.
I'm pleased with the outcome, and it was definitely a place of a new unknown place for me, but it worked out, and I hope other people will be courageous enough to take the steps towards going into the unknown. I think sometimes fear is a factor, but I think too that's where our senses come into play. If we can, uh, you know, be be observant and aware, like if there's no harm, evident harm in the present moment that would uh, cause us to be in a bad situation, and fear is just simply something that's in our head, then I think it's important for us to take self accountability and draw a distinction of fear versus actual evident danger. And so that if we're aware that we're just simply afraid, then that shouldn't be a reason for us to not try and do something different and go into the unknown, because this is where we can discover more of ourselves. So that's my interpretation of that. So we have went a little bit beyond the 9 o'clock hour, but I do appreciate everyone who tuned in. Um, I feel like I've grown in this experience through listening to my friend Rich share his journey. Is inspiring to me. A lot of things stuck out to me that I felt like I could use, and hopefully there was things that were resourceful for you as well. What would your parting words be, Rich?
My parting words would be everyone who's tuning in right now, those who catch the replay, those who catch this particular episode weeks down the line, don't give up in your self growth. Strive to become better than yesterday. Push away the naysayers and continue to grind because time is all we have, and time can be split up so we can have full control of what we do with our time. So try to control the time you have every day.
Hmm. Yeah, I could relate to that. I think my parting words would be um, I would say be intentional about not being afraid, and when there's no apparent or evident danger uh, that that you would be experiencing, so that you can self discover. Um, I think one activity that one an individual could appreciate and um, have a better relation to what I'm saying is like going on hikes, particularly like going on a hike where there is a hillside or a mountain range, because in order for a person to attain a certain perspective, particularly when hiking up a mountain or a hill, um, it's going to require effort on your part. But if you are willing to walk up that hill or that mountain, um, I believe that your perspective will be enhanced, become enhanced. And if you've enhanced your perspective, then that's a valuable experience for you, and you can take that with you. It can be motivational for you when presented with new experiences as well. So I enjoy hiking. I've been to Tilden Park in Berkeley, and I walked up a particular hillside. And once you got up to the top of the hill, it gave you a panoramic view, which allowed me to see both the West Bay, which is San Francisco, and also the true East Bay. I was able to see Mount Diablo. But had I not chosen to take that trail and walk up it, I wouldn't have never had that experience. And so I value that experience, and it helps me to continue on this journey that is self growth. So I appreciate everyone who tuned in, um, and I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the night. Um, the journey continues.
The journey continues.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.